Welcome back everyone, it's your host Tetra Shots here, and as you can see in the title of this video, we'll be discussing another versus battle. Both former inhabitants of the Hidden Mist Village and both former wielders of the Executioner's Blade, we have Zabuza versus Suigetsu. Unlike my last versus battle, this will be a tad bit easier because there will be more actual feats to compare in the series instead of statements like in my Naruto versus Shisui video. Also, a quick side note, I'll be including a live Zabuza and not taking reanimated Zabuza into account, and also to make things easier and fair, I'll say both of them have the Executioner's Blade in their possession instead of one or the other. Now let's begin. First, I'll be comparing both of their arsenals. Starting off with Zabuza's arsenal, we have his Executioner's Blade, his Hidden Mist Jutsu, Water Clones, Water Prison, his Giant Waterfall, and the Water Dragon. Now in Suigetsu's arsenal, we have his Water Gun, 2 Water Guns, Demon Wave, his liquefying jutsu, and the little blob of water he used against Juzo. And now we'll be moving on to speed feats, starting off with Zabuza. Now we know that Zabuza is a bit slower than Part 1 Kakashi, as we were shown multiple times throughout the course of their fight that Zabuza had trouble keeping up with Itachi at times. Zabuza stated that Kakashi was too fast when he used his waterfall jutsu before he did. Also, Kakashi was capable of keeping up with Zabuza when he was about to sneak attack Sakura when he was a good distance away. And Zabuza stated he couldn't keep up with Kakashi after Haku sacrificed himself to save him, and which Part 1 Kakashi is arguably slower than Hibi Sasuke. Now moving over to Suigetsu's speed feat, which is a bit more impressive than Zabuza's. Suigetsu was capable of blocking an attack from B to prevent him from hitting Sasuke, even though he was a good distance away. Also, Suigetsu managed to block another attack again, but this time was from the 4th Raikage during the 5 Kage summit to protect Sasuke, which again, he was in a good distance away between the two. Although the Raikage wasn't at full speed, it's still impressive enough that Suigetsu was capable of blocking an attack with his lightning cloak on, which goes to show how fast Suigetsu is, but not enough to speed blitz Zabuza. Now going over to their intelligence, in Zabuza's case, Zabuza was part of the Anbu during his time in the Hidden Mist Village, which the individual not only needs to have skill or brute strength, but intelligence. During Zabuza's first encounter with Kakashi, Zabuza knew most of the abilities of the Sharingan contains and came up with a few counterattacks against Kakashi. Also, many people tend to have the misconception that Zabuza was the one who deciphered Kakashi's mirror eye ability during their first fight, which isn't the case. In fact, Haku was the one who broke down Kakashi's mirror eye technique and even came up with ways to counter it, which Zabuza stated this during his second encounter with Kakashi. But that's not to say that Zabuza couldn't come up with ways to counter Kakashi's mirror eye ability, but I'm saying that without Haku, Zabuza probably wouldn't have known the full analysis of Kakashi's ability. Also, in the databook, Zabuza scored a 3 out of 5 in intelligence compared to Kakashi, who has a 4.5 out of 5 in intelligence, which isn't really surprising seeing that Kakashi always comes up with counters against Zabuza. Although the databooks aren't really reliable, it's something to consider. Now in Suigetsu's case, there really isn't anything too impressive in his resume as far as intelligence goes. Although his fights were limited in the manga, we weren't shown anything too impressive. Even in the anime, we were always shown Suigetsu charging in blindlessly towards his opponents and quickly backfired. We saw this with his fight against B, Darui, and Sama with Kisame. Now going over to their swordsmanship or their skill with the Executioner's Blade, when the two of them go head to head, Zabuza will likely have the edge against Suigetsu in terms of skill. Although Suigetsu stated that he trained to wield all the 7 swords and could match Zabuza's strength, as we were showing him pumping up water into his muscles to knock down a door, but we were shown time to time of his struggles. In the manga, we weren't shown a whole lot of his feats with the Executioner's Blade, but in the anime, we were shown that he was easily capable of snatching the Executioner's Blade from Suigetsu with little effort, and later on in the anime we were shown little bits with Suigetsu's fight against Kisame. Also, a lot of people tend to say that Suigetsu is a better wielder of the Executioner's Blade than Zabuza because Kisame stated that he was better than Zabuza, but that was early on in the fight, and when the fight dragged out, Kisame took back what he said earlier because he realized Suigetsu lacked experience. Zabuza on the other hand doesn't, and in fact wielded the Executioner's Blade for around 3 to 5 years. And we know this because we were shown a flashback of the two when the Kaguya clan raided the Hidden Mist Village, which shows that Zabuza had years of experience under his belt with the Executioner's Blade. Now when the two of them commence fighting, Zabuza will likely have the upper hand because he is a better wielder, better swordsmanship than Suigetsu with the Executioner's Blade. Although that's all good and all, there's just one small issue. How is Zabuza supposed to inflict damage against Suigetsu? Sure, Zabuza can try and cut him, but that exactly won't do much. Suigetsu is a member of the Huzuki clan, which an individual from this clan can liquefy any part of their body and be unharmed from an attack. As we were shown Suigetsu withstanding an attack from B to the stomach, and him again tanking an attack from the 4th Raikage, and stated that had his body not been made out of water, his bones would have been crushed. But his only weaknesses are lightning style attacks or a destructible attack, as we were shown Suigetsu tanking a from the 8 tails and remained unconscious, which Zabuza doesn't have either in his arsenal. And if they were fighting on land with no water source near them, it will only be a matter of time before Zabuza loses, or Sama manages to get off guard and gets one-shotted by Suigetsu's water gun. However, if they are near water or fighting near a lake, it will be an interesting battle. As we were shown, they are quite powerful if they are near water, but won't be doing Zabuza any favors because he's up against another water style user, and he could pull out his most powerful water style attacks and it won't exactly do much. And again, will only be a matter of time before Suigetsu gets the better of him, unless Zabuza has a Bijou bomb level attack hitting somewhere in his arsenal that we were never shown before. Suigetsu wins most, if not most, battles. Now, the only possible way for Zabuza to take a win here is if only the fight drags out. Suigetsu does have some handy techniques, but his stamina is crap. We saw this many times throughout the series, such as Suigetsu needed to rehydrate and take a break from time to time when traveling long distances. Also in the anime, during Suigetsu's fight against Kisame, Suigetsu was already growing tired when he was swinging around the Executioner's blade for only a couple of minutes, in which case Kisame wasn't even breaking a sweat. Also, Suigetsu can liquefy any part of his body, but that costs chakra, and Suigetsu doesn't have a monstrous reserves amount of chakra and can't keep spamming it for long periods of times, and will eventually get to the point when he can't keep relying on his ability, and will eventually get to the point when he'll be vulnerable, which Zabuza could take advantage of. But again, this is only if the fight drags out, and I doubt Suigetsu would allow it to get to that point, and I imagine he wouldn't underestimate Zabuza because of Zabuza's reputation, and probably knows full well of the consequences if he allowed that to happen. Now, I'm sure there are some people who are mad at me for being heavily in favor of Suigetsu, but I can't really think of any other scenario that Zabuza has taken a win here. If you can think of any other way for Zabuza to take a dub here, please leave it in the comment section below. That's it for today's video. I post every Thursdays and Saturdays, and if you like to vote on which video I should make next week, there will be a poll in the description below, so make sure to check that out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.